Muy buenas tardes, good evening. Hi, everybody over there. And I'm really sorry I started with in Spanish. I don't know why, because probably I always been doing it in Spanish. And for now to further, we're going to be working together, Christopher Gergen, here in Double Antidote. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm very
Good.
excited for this project that we have for our English speaker. So people who knows me, they know my first language is Spanish. So I'm gonna try to do my best so everybody can understand me. And of course, the start is you here in Double Antidote, and you got something amazing to share with the people over there. And it's your book, your second book.
My second book in a long time. The first book was written many years ago, and on a completely different topic. And this book, though, is it's a political book, and it's a book that was written as a guide to help candidates, specifically conservative candidates, to run good and credible races at every level of government, from the federal level to the state level to the local level, and on down.
Yes, but you are Christopher Gergen, just as the people can see over there in the front in the book, Win. And the complete name of the book is Win, the Candidate's Guide to Winning Back America.
Yes.
Something that we must do it right now. If not, you said to me, this is the last, 2 months probably ago, Christopher said to me, you know what, Eva, if we don't get this, probably this is the end of our country. And you as a veteran feel it very hard that your father, your grandfather's veterans too. So probably that's, you take this, of course, your country, but you take more personal other people.
It's very serious.
It's very serious. It's very serious. And well, that's why we are creating this space for all our English speakers. Double antidote, and that's what we need. And double because we are two persons here,
Right.
and because probably we need double, triple, antidote against the dictatorship, against the socialism that wants to end with this beautiful country. So I have some questions over here for you,
Okay.
Christopher Gergen, because you start speaking and with not me doing the right introduction about you, Mr. Gergen. So talk to the people about you, who you are, what inspired you to write this book, why, all the kind of little details in order to go to more deep in about the book.
So I started in politics a very long time ago. I've been in and around politics, off and on for probably 27 years now. And the very first campaign I ever worked on was Bob Dole's presidential campaign. And he was a senator, Senator Bob Dole, who ran for president in 1996 against Bill Clinton. And I just started as a volunteer. I started, where I was, and I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was a 19-year-old kid that didn't know anything about anything, and all I wanted to do was just be a part of the solution, because I felt like back in the 1990s, underneath the Clinton administration, that the country was going in the wrong direction. And so I decided to get involved, and that's something that I continue to encourage people even now to do, is to get involved where they are. And, a lot of people, they don't know what to do, but they know that they need to do something. And so that is really the reason why I wrote this book, was to give people who they know that they need to do something, whether it's be a volunteer, whether it's run for political office, whether it's, join a local school board, or whether it's to go to a city council meeting. People just don't know what to do. This book is specifically written for candidates to run for political office, because it is my belief that we have a lot of the wrong types of people that are elected to public service in our country right now, which is one of the reasons why our country is in the condition that it's in. And if we don't get the right people in the right places immediately, then I fear that the United States as we know her will no longer exist. And the U.S. that I grew up in, back in the 70s and 80s is gone. And I think that things really started to change in the 90s, and then it accelerated due to the events of 9/11.
Yeah.
which ultimately is why I joined the U.S. Navy and served from 2001 to 2006. And even during then, I was involved in local politics wherever I was stationed when I had the time, when I wasn't gone. And then I went into finance and had a career in finance and still stayed involved just in a volunteer capacity. And then in 2014, I decided to run for public office and realized that I absolutely hated being a candidate. And I just don't have the personality for it. And but I went through it, and I realized that the party, the Republican Party, was not necessarily giving all the candidates a fair shake. And so I started my company, Dark Horse Political, specifically to help candidates that were not necessarily establishment candidates, but who were candidates that believed in the Constitution. They were constitutional conservatives. They were Americans. They were people that believed in God, believed in country, were pro-life, believed in the constitutional amendments, all of them, not just the ones that are convenient. The Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. And since 2015, when I founded the company, I've had the opportunity to work with federal candidates at all levels. I've had great opportunity to run gubernatorial campaigns, statewide campaigns. And then in 2016, President Trump's campaign picked me to be the statewide political director for the state of Oregon during the primary. And then after the primary was over, then I went down to Florida, which is where we met.
Yeah.
And then, and from that point, it's just, we do what we do. We create branding, we create narrative, we run campaigns, and all of that experience and all of these experiences have gone into this book, Win.
Wow, that's you were saying here that this book is rated for the candidate, but it's not in my plan, for example, to be a candidate. Probably they offer me several times in Florida. Here I already had one offer, but it is too for example, for me that I don't know. I'm not a candidate yet, but I better read the book in order to see if I really fit and don't happen what happened to you. Like, hey, I'm a candidate already, and guess what? I don't like this, but I have to do it because there is no reverse in this. Right? That's what the name is, win.
Right.
When you are in, doesn't matter if you like it or not like it, you have to win. You have to do everything in order to win. Right? So can be for persons who are thinking, or just consultants, political consultants, to know what they're doing, what do they have to do. And something that I always say to people is like, stop saying your kid, stop saying your friends, colleague, co-workers, hey, don't be involved in politics because it's dirty. And I always think that the politic is not dirty. Like a dirty, I believe actually is a very noble service. What happened that there is dirty people using the politic in order to commit crimes as for their own purpose, as a robbing or corruptions or particular favors. So I believe this book can inspire kids, good persons. I say kids because we want new blood on the arena, on the Congress. We want young people with, I don't say with new ideas, because I really don't want new ideas. There's too many new things that are actually destroying. I want the all America, the ones everybody miss right now, but with fresh, with
fresh blood.
Yes.
Yeah. Politics is one of the oldest professions. I mean, all the way. And politics.
Don't tell me that. It's like the prostitution.
Well, that's the second. Maybe politics is the second oldest, but the politics is found in everything. It's found in families. Yeah. It's found in businesses. It's found in government. It's found, and these things, they're just interpersonal dynamics between people. It's really what politics is, and how you manage that process. Campaigning is a little bit different. Campaigning is, when I talk to people about politics and about campaigns, and I go out and I teach, one of the first things that I always tell people is that politics is sales. It's a sales and marketing effort that you do for a period of anywhere from 6 months on the short end to 18 or even 24 months on the high end, right? If you're running for president. It is sales. And there is a specific process, and there's a specific science, and there are specific things and tools that you must do. And there is a way to do those things. And the problem with so many people with new blood that want to come in is that they don't really understand what to do. They don't understand sales. They don't understand marketing. They don't understand how to build a narrative that is cohesive. Yeah. They don't understand how to go knock doors or how to process data.
And there is a little problem because I see that every day because we are involved in politics, with people that are enrolled in politics. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody's a political consultant. Everybody know, and everybody's better than everybody. And in the end, they don't know nothing. Right. And I see that every day. Every single day, and they subestimate. Why you gonna be doing this? Why you gonna be paying a consultant if we can do as a volunteer? But this is a career, and people believe and some candidates believe that other people, for the good of the town, they have to work for free doing this. So do you notice that there is people that say, "Oh no, you have to do that for free because is what you're giving to the campaign." But no, this take hours. There is I believe the 2020 and 21. I probably in all the year I see you 3 months because you've been flying, going, doing, and a lot of things, and you have to be, you have to do, and you have to provide. You have a family, right? That's right. But people believe this has to be for free, and it's not like that. Now, why do you believe this book is important for conservative candidate in particular?
Because the Democrats have a system down that they use in almost all of their campaigns. They are very, very good. The Marxists and the communists and the socialists, they have a system, and they use it everywhere in the world, not just here in the United States. They use it in South America. They use it in Europe. They use it in all different types of places. And they have gotten this down to a science to where all they need is a credible candidate, and their system takes over and they run hard. Conservatives, because most of us are very independent. We don't like to be told what to do. We don't want to fit in your system. We don't want to feel controlled. We don't want, and so that's fine. There's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with that. I think that is really the true American spirit is rugged individualism, right? But there comes a danger in that as well, is that you don't know what you don't know. And if you're going to get into the business, which is, let's make no mistake about this, politics is a business. And when you run as a candidate, you are in the business. When you're getting into a business that you don't know what to do, then you're going to get yourself hurt. Yeah. And what
it's happens, a business where the people gonna pay you.
Oh, without a doubt.
And the people supposed to have the right to, hey, you're not working good. I contract you through this for you made this business, and you're not good enough.
We hired you to represent us, and you're not representing us. Right?
Yeah.
This book is important to conservative candidates in particular because it gives them the specific instructions that they need to be successful. Whether you're running for school board, or you're running for dog catcher, or you're running for the water board, or you're running for U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate, or you're running to be the governor of your state. And there are a lot of different topics that are covered in the book that candidates have to know. They have to have a fundamental understanding. It doesn't mean that they need to be an expert, but it does mean that they need to know. That way they know when their consultants are lying. That way they know when their consultants don't know things. That way they know when they're being tricked. And then for those, I also wrote it for other consultants like me that maybe are younger in this business. Maybe they don't know.
Maybe they don't know, and they need to.
And this book is a handbook for them. So now they know what they need to know.
And this is something important. You wrote this book, but you be on the field, you be on the floor, you've been touching the ground with this. It's not somebody who just study this, just is passionate about this, but you sweat like in every single position, so you can handle entire campaign because you know every single angle.
Yeah, there isn't anything on a campaign that I haven't done, with the exception of be the treasurer.
Even you've been a voluntary in the beginning, as you said.
Oh, absolutely. I volunteered. I didn't actually get paid to do this until 2016. That was the first time I got paid to actually do it. All the rest of the time I just volunteered, because the way that I looked at it was that I felt like it was my tuition for the education that I was gaining from volunteering.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to get back to my community and to different people and to learn. And whatever I didn't know, I figured it out, or I made the mistake. And then, they say that experience, experience is one of the best teachers. And so that is how I learned this business. That's how I think the business should be learned. So if you're out there and you're watching this, you're like, hey, listen, I want to get involved on not being the candidate, but running campaigns, being involved in campaigns. This book is fantastic. It is definitely going to give you the education, just the very basics, the fundamentals of everything that you need to know to be involved and to run a credible campaign.
Yep. I believe is very, very important. Actually, it's a must read for me, for example, and for my friends that are involved in this too. This is very important what you said. When a candidate read this book, they know when their consultant or the company they hire are telling the truth or they're just stealing the money. Because there is people who doesn't care about if you win or not. They want your money. And something that you teach me, and I always repeat with the Spanish speakers, is there is people who run just knowing that they're gonna lose, but because they get some benefits.
Absolutely.
And
they run to build their businesses. They run to get the notoriety. They run to be in the media, and they have no intention of winning.
Even promotion their own business.
Of course.
I saw it.
Oh, absolutely.
We saw, right?
Yeah,
so so this is very, very important. And the same too with the consultant. There is something that I really admire about you. There is a lot of people who come to you and say, hey, you know what? I hear about you. You are the best in this, yada, yada. I want to run. Okay, perfect. Let's talk. And when they say, well, I want to run for this, and you're very honest with the people. You're brutally honest. Say, hey, you're losing this campaign because this, yada, yada, this number, this district, this is the tendency of voting here. So you're very honest with the people because even if they're paid, doesn't matter. I want to run. I will pay you. But you say, no, because it's not about the money. This is because I live in this country too. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I have to be responsible for who I'm helping.
Just this month, I've discouraged 3 people from running for Congress. And I wouldn't take their races because A, they weren't ready to run, or B, they were wanting to run in races that were not winnable. And who likes to play a game that you can't win at?
Well, right? There is some people that like it as a business. That's exactly what I was saying. Now, we have over here that you, in your book, you describe political campaigns as a blood sport. Sounds very hard, like oh my god. But and especially in Spanish, this is very because But tell us about that. What is the main message of the book about blood sport?
So politics and campaigning is a full contact sport, like American football or mixed martial arts or boxing, or you're gonna take hits. And you've got to be prepared to give them out too. And it's not about if you're going to get hit. It's just how many times and how you respond. They're going to punch you. You've got to be prepared to counterpunch. That is the nature, the essence of what politics is. And sometimes it's fair. Sometimes, most times, it is not fair. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes maybe they tell some truths about you that you didn't want everyone to know. Sometimes they tell the truth, but they tell it in a way that is not truthful, and they create a perception that isn't there. And I am very honest with candidates, and
that's what I was laughing. People say, "Why she's laughing?" I gotta laugh because I heard you. I don't know if it's okay to say it but nobody know it. So just between you and me. So you answer the phone, or you was speaking with somebody, I don't know, and you start saying, "Okay, we're gonna work on this, but you have to know something." Okay, they're gonna discredit to you. They're gonna make a lot of defamation to you. They're gonna do a lot of things to you. They're gonna do a lot of things. Are you ready for this? Because if you're not ready for this, just don't do it. Because you have to be, you have to learn to control the emotions, because they're gonna come a lot of lies about you. That's how the people do this, especially if you're conservative. Because we the conservative are faces, we the conservative are racist, we are everything but nothing good, when actually the conservative is the things and is trying to maintain this beautiful country, and trying and fighting to keep America. I don't want to say the rest, because this is not because this is well, you know my position. Oh, there we go. And that's what I love about democracy. Then, for example, in my home, before we go to the next topic, in my home, I have a mixed family, right? And not only in religion and culture too, right? And in what else? In a lot of things. In a lot of things. And even when I say culture, because everybody's different, and that's amazing. And I never hear in my family people fighting about the religion, about the political position, when my mother was more involved in politics, but not really, but yes, but you can see it. She get excited about some stuff about politics. But my father was super plain. Would say, "Hey, daddy, who you vote for? Who you vote?" Vote is secret, But my mother, I did for, and you must vote for that, like that, right? But no, my father, and I never hear anything. And I believe, of course, you never, or me, I don't think so, I'm gonna be involved with somebody who is from the left in my personal relation. And thanks God, my kids are conservative. And when you're super conservative, the kids sometimes like, it's too much. I'm gonna do something different. Thanks God, my kids been raised good, and I as you too. So
both my daughters.
Right. So but between you and me, and nobody's hearing this, so we both are Republican, but we have two different ways to see our favorite, and we will not talk about it. But I believe everything is good. Then in my other show, I'm gonna tell you which is my favorite, and when he has his own show, he gonna talk about his candidate, right? But no, this is gonna be good because we can debate about that.
Absolutely.
And that's gonna be amazing for the people to see a different point of view, but with the same view in this objective.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, I'm confident enough in who I am to be able to admit that my candidate isn't really doing so well right now, and your candidate is. So we'll see if that changes.
Yeah.
And when your candidate starts to screw things up, and my candidate, starts to do better, if it happens. But that's politics. You can sometimes you can politics. Start well and then finish poorly. And sometimes you can start poorly and finish well.
But sometimes, that's when you are behind the scenes. Know that. Sadly, for the rest of the people, is what the media's fake news said. That is very, very sad, right? And we saw that in 2016. We see that in 2020, and everybody knows about the story about the 2020. And we're going to talk about it. And now, what unique challenge do you think conservative candidates face in today's political climate?
Okay, so that's a great question. So there are a lot of different unique things that conservatives face. The biggest one I would say is the media, right? And how you deal with the media, and your mentality and your strategy behind dealing with the media. I'm going to let's wade into this. You didn't want to go there and say the T word, but I'm going to say the T word.
What is it?
The Trump word. So so a lot of people they get so when I worked for Mr. Trump in 2016, it's a great honor. Um, no one believed that we could win the election, and we did. There was a lot of hard work that was done on the ground. There were a lot of people that were involved in that success. Um, However, the force and the brand and the personality of Mr. Trump was really ultimately, and his performances in times when he needed to excel and he needed to succeed, he did what he needed to do, and that ultimately, I believe, is what pulled everything across the line. Because there were a lot of things in the ground game and in other things that were not necessarily done with the best way. So the force, I call it the force of Trump, the force of Trump's personality, really pushed across the line. Having said that, just because Mr. Trump or President Trump now, former President Trump, can get on television and say and do things and get away with it because it's his brand, it's who he is, does not mean that you can do that or that other candidates can do that and get away with it. And one of the things that has come around in the political space in that has created a challenge for conservatives is that they believe that they can get out on television and in the media and in their communities and say and do things that are not smart. They fail to remember that Mr. Trump had 40 plus years of brand building, 40 plus years of media, 40 plus years of America learning his personality and learning what to expect from him.
And probably they know where to, in order to hit to.
Yeah, and just because you have a personal style that is maybe very brash or maybe you're very aggressive, that doesn't mean, just because Mr. Trump can do that doesn't mean you can't. Like, there's still rules
But
for the rest of the
that
world.
is him. You don't have to copy. Everybody has to keep themselves, I believe. You don't
It's
have
true.
to try to copy, as I see some candidates to copy him,
Right.
So why, if you can, you are your own one. At least they've been in the same school, or at least the other candidate that is younger learn with him, right? Probably, I don't know. Everybody have their own personality,
right? But the thing is, one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we don't know what to do, and we get out there and we say and do things, so we just copy because we don't know what to do. We copy who we believe is most successful, which has been Mr. Trump as of late. And just because President Trump can get away with things and do things a certain way does not mean that you can do that when you're running for school board. Does not mean that you can do that for running for city council. Does not mean that you can say that when you're running for Congress. Does not mean that you can say that when you're running for governor or you're running for Senate, right? So there has to be, you have to be true to yourself. That's one of the first things that I always tell all my clients. You have to be true to yourself, true to who you are.
Yes.
Right? Don't lie, ever. Don't lie.
Yeah.
And trying to be someone that you're not is lying. And voters see it. They see it. And that is most of the big problems we have with conservatives is not from the left. It's not from the communists. It's not from the socialists. It's not from the woke mob. Most of the problems we have are self-inflicted because we're not honest with who we are and we're not honest with the voters. And we don't know what to do, and we're disorganized, and we hire these different people that are just not what they need to be, or maybe they make promises that they can't deliver on, and it just becomes a mess. And so that was one of the reasons that I wrote this book, was so people can get on the same page, so that they can know that they can be who they are. Sometimes maybe you have to rein some things in. Like if you're super loud, maybe you can't be so loud all the time, right? Or if you're super quiet, maybe you need to speak up some other times, right? But always be true to who you are. And your values.
Yes.
And if you're pro-life, don't run as a pro-choice candidate because you think it's gonna win some of the middle vote. You're lying, right? And it's cowardice.
But now people believe that say the truth is no, or what you are is bad, because that don't go with the media's made you believe, give you the perception that everything is going to the left, and it's not. It's not. And when you're running and you say something like a pro life, then you receive 1,000 of like and this, and people start talking to you. Hey, I need you in my show. This, and then you realize, oh, okay, I'm not the only one. And that's happened to me when I was speaking about Bolivia in a show in Miami, in Florida, about something that was happening in Bolivia. And I say, and you know what? And that's why I'm gonna be voting for Trump. And I have the next day another call from the same media. Say, hey, Eva, we need you again here, because yesterday you say something about you're going to be voting, or you're going to be supporting Trump. And then another person, another lady, say, hey, Eva, we have to create Latinos for Trump. And then this, and then that, and then from all the United States, people start, Latinos start getting engaged with me, talking to me, because wow, we was a big movement. And then I realized every time they come with their polls and this, and I say, this is not true. I'm walking, I'm knocking doors for Trump, and everybody say, hey, welcome, come in, get a coffee, get this. So I realize, and all is, you don't have to go for what is trending in the media.
Right.
You have to go for your, do not lie, period.
Yeah.
Don't
be who you are.
Yeah, for example, to me, they try to say, Eva is this, is that, is that. But I have a style of life, then everything fell down by itself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to be who you are. And, at the end of the day, if you don't win, but you were honest with yourself, then that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Now, over here in your book, the title, Winning Back America, can you discuss what you think has been lost as need? That question remind me something and needs to be regained.
Wow, I mean, we could do a whole 10 shows on that question,
but you can do that little one, because we're gonna keep with the show.
Yeah.
So
no,
I'm gonna put in yellow this question, so I always gonna be touching the same question.
Right. Okay. Well, winning back America. I mean, I think that we've lost our moral compass.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
When we're trying to mutilate children, when we're trying to teach and sexualize children, when black on black murder is at all-time highs, when illiteracy is going up, when we've got crime at historic levels in major cities in the United States. The United States is falling apart. And the thing is the public policy, it's not like we don't know what works and what doesn't work. We've been doing public policy in the West for 2,400 years, since Greece. So we know what works public policy wise. And the policies of the left always produce three things. It makes places unaffordable, unsafe, and unfree. And if we don't win back America, America is going to be unaffordable, unsafe, and unfree. And if you look around, anyone living in this country looks around today in 2023, and they remember back to a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades ago, America is a completely different place now. Completely different. Different culture, different feel, different mentality, different everything. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I would say that one of the major drivers of that is who we elect to public office. And, there's a saying in this business that all politics is local. And what that means is that the public policy that affects you most directly is your city council, is your mayor, is your school board. You want to know why your kids are being sexualized? Because of the school board is allowing it. It's so easy. It's so easy even to point at the federal government and say, oh, the government's doing this, or oh, the woke left is doing this. But wait a minute, who actually is doing it? Well, it's your city council. It's your county commission. It's your mayor. It's your district attorney.
Now, do you think, can the, for example, the people who support over there at the top, the presidency,
Mhm.
if all the supports go there, when every support go there, every help, and they forgetting who are on the bottom, like the roots. And
Yes,
probably that's a big, because it's everything, about Trump, DeSantis, this, yada
yeah,
yada, and they
yeah,
forget
yeah. It's
resources. I said, because we need resources to move too on the.
well, yeah, and that's a dynamic that I talk about. The longest chapter in this book is about fundraising.
Oh, okay.
Right, the longest chapter, and what you're talking about is what's called top of the ticket or top of the ballot candidates versus bottom of the ballot candidates. The reality is it costs money for every candidate to run a campaign. Every single candidate, it costs them money. Now, it costs $1 billion, as in with a B, $1 billion to run for president now. Okay. You're not running a congressional race and winning for less than $3.5 million on average, right? Typically, it's closer to $5 million. If you can't raise that amount of money, you're not going to win your congressional race. Typically, right? On average, does it happen where people raise less and win? Very rarely, it does happen. Yes, but that is not the norm. If you're going to run a county commission race, it depends on the size of your county, right? So you get Miami-Dade County with how many people live in Miami-Dade? Like 5, 6, 7 million. A lot of people, right?
A lot.
Right. That's a
I
lot.
don't know, but a lot.
That's a lot different than a small county with 7,500. Like Liberty County has 7,500 residents in Florida. So obviously there's different amounts of money that it takes, but it does take money in all of those races to run those races. Some candidates, they come in and they literally suck all the oxygen out of the room. They take all the money, and it starves out these lower candidates on the ballot, which is not good, but it does happen. I've had clients that's happened to, and it's frustrating, right? But if you structure your fundraising properly, you can get around that and you can raise the money that you need to be successful.
So this was actually part of my next question. How does your book equip candidates to effectively navigate and succeed in the contemporary political arena? And
well, it allows
basically
what it does is it allows candidates that don't have the money necessarily to hire a high-paid consultant. I mean, if you hire a general consultant like me, you're going to pay $25,000 a month sometimes. Sometimes you'll pay 10. You're not paying less than 7,500. I'll tell you that. Not for a good one.
Yeah.
So you're talking about candidates that have a lot of money backing them, and they can go to DC. They can get some of these large national consultants that are, out of Virginia, that are tied into the Republican Party, that are tied into all the, the quote unquote, the right people. This book levels the playing field, and it shows, for the first time, it shows really how the sausage is made, so to speak. It shows candidates how the business is done and what their opponents are going to do to them. And it shows and lays out how to create a strategy that's effective, to where you can win for less money than what maybe another candidate spent on a big high-priced consultant. Because high-priced consultants, I've beaten high-priced consultants for a fraction of the amount that my opponents spent. And that's just simply because their consultant was predictable. And that's part of the problem, is that so many consultants, they have like this cookie cutter, how you make cookies and shapes, right? They have like this cookie cutter approach on how they're going to do everything. And my approach, and the approach taught in the book, is very simple. It's nothing is cookie cutter. Everything is basically, I want you to think about it like,
especially in politics, because politics is renovating and this and that.
I want you to think about it, and I want the viewers to think about it like this. Every human has a skeleton, right? You've got a head and a neck bone and ribs and arms and legs, and they're all a little bit different, but basically they look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Every campaign, the bones of every campaign are laid out in 5 phases. That's the skeleton. Every race is maybe a little bit different, but it all looks the same in that regard. Now, every human on the planet looks a little bit different. Even identical twins look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the meat that is on the bones. That's the skin, the muscle, the tissue, all those different things. That is where you can be effective as a candidate, to where once you get your skeleton right, once you get the bones right, then you can,
foundation.
Once you get the foundation right, then you can put the meat on the bones. Then you can create your own custom narratives. Then you can start to talk to voters about the things that matter to them in your district where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ultimately is what this book allows candidates to do, is to be able to take on the bigger guys without having to have the big budgets that some of the other candidates have to have.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that has to fit too in what we was talking in the beginning, with their own personality too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's different. There is candidate more. How do you say that? In Spanish, there is words that I don't even know in English, but it's more charismatic.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and there is ones that are more cold.
Absolutely.
But it is about personality, so everything has to be shaped. The meat and lean has to be shaping the personality and the environment, right, of the place. Everybody's different. Now for the conclusion, Christopher, what key quality or attributes do you believe a successful conservative candidate should possess, based on your book message?
The key quality and attribute that I believe a successful conservative candidate should possess is, number one, knowing what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you don't know what you believe, then you are vulnerable to feeling like you have to change to be what you think everybody needs you to be. Right. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I am pro-life. I am pro-Second Amendment. I am pro-Constitution. I am pro-family. Right. I am, pro fundamental as far as, small government,
Mm-hmm.
individual liberty, and these types of things. You have to be very sure of who you are. Mm-hmm. If you are running for public office for any other reason than to serve your constituents, to serve your community, you're running for the wrong reasons. And that is one of the fundamental things in my first phone call with people.
Mm-hmm.
If you called me and I didn't know you, and you called me like, Chris, I want to run for public office, I would say, well, Eva, why? Why? Is this an ego play for you? Is this a business play for you? What is this? Why are you calling? Right. Mm-hmm. I have those conversations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some people don't like it. I don't care.
Yeah, it's part of your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reality.
And still to say, or people don't like it or like it, and I'm gonna give you a consultant to you. I'm gonna give you.
You're gonna consult me now?
Yes,
okay.
I'm gonna tell you something now. I'm gonna give you a tip. Do you think, based on your book and everything, what about if you create a questionnaire,
mm-hmm.
like a 10, 20, whatever questions you need to do it. Mm-hmm. You put this and that, go to depending.
Mm-hmm.
And as when you, for example, you're looking or you're working in some place and they want to see what your personality is,
mm-hmm.
maybe something like that to people. And when you got more numbers here, more numbers there, you fit as a right the ones that the rhinos, also like like a
Right.
Republican,
Moderates,
conservative,
moderates,
uh-huh,
mainstreamers.
rhinos,
Mhm.
and I'm talking like that. Democrats with all the tones, because are in all the degrees of
Oh, sure.
from left that they start bad to very bad,
Right.
So what is your position, right? Maybe with a test that can help the people, like hey, this is not personal, right?
Right.
Your test say this,
Right.
and I believe that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
You don't
There,
made a
there are
question?
there are tests like that out there.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, I don't have one on my website. I don't have
But you
one.
can create under your own experience.
I could. Yeah.
You know what I mean? To see exactly, even your voluntaries. Hey, what do you want to help?
Mhm.
Because even you
Oh,
can
sure.
take
Yeah.
infiltrate people like
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
You can capture infiltrate people, because there is a lot of infiltrate people too that
Oh, without a
was
doubt.
over there or trying to get your spot, right, or somebody else's spot when they
absolutely.
are under
Yeah.
or in operation or something in
Yeah.
their campaign. Well, Mr. Christopher Gergen, now I'm gonna go with the last question.
Okay.
How do you envision the impact of your book on in further political campaign, future political campaigns? I'm sorry.
So, I believe the more widely the book will be read, the more competitive constitutional conservatives will be.
Mm-hmm.
And the more competitive constitutional conservatives will be, will ultimately elect better people to public office, will ultimately hold the rhinos or the moderates accountable, because they'll have to run good races. They won't just be able to run over a lot of the candidates that are running for public office. I believe that this book is transformative. It's one of the reasons why I wrote it. I wrote it to be that way. And education is power.
Yeah.
And the more education and the more educated candidates are, and listen, if you're watching this and you're running a local party, or maybe you're running a PAC, or maybe you're running some other political organization, you need to read the book, because the book is going to tell you exactly what you need to do to be successful. And the more successful, credible organizations we have out there, the better chance we have in tough races.
Yeah, it's true. Well, so this is the book, and where can we find this book? I see that you got a pail because people order and they want your signature there. So I see you signing some. I get some from your desk that they're already signed. Probably tomorrow Monday you're gonna start shipping this.
Yep.
So where do you get this?
So you can go to electionblueprint.com, electionblueprint.com. Just click on the link. It'll take you over to Amazon, or you can just go to Amazon and search for it, or Barnes & Noble, or anywhere books are sold. You can get the book there. You can buy it online, or you can go into your local bookstore and order it, and they can get it to you.
That's very good.
Yep.
That's very good. And thank you very, very, very much, Christopher. This is our first podcast over here in this that we call double antidote. There is people who trust in this project, and I promise we're gonna do the best, at least from my side. Thank you very much for accept this to do it with me. I don't think it's a better person. I can call and say, hey, let's do that video with somebody else from the other part of the world, whatever, or another state. But I believe you are the best person to do this with me as a double antidote, because I know your foundations, I know your beliefs, and I know you are the best person that can talk about the values of America in this space that is exactly for the conservative and for the people who need to know more about conservatism, from the people who need to wake up. Absolutely. They believe they're Democrat. They believe because they're selling something that is not true. And this space is very important to save America. Agreed. I don't want to say it because it's a slogan, but that is exactly what I feel.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we do have to make America great again. And President Trump didn't come up with that slogan. That was Ronald Reagan's slogan. So So, but it's true. We do need to make America great again, and America's failing, and we're failing because we're failing because we're committing suicide.
Yeah.
And we're doing it to ourselves. And all of this can be stopped. All of this can be corrected by electing the right people to public office, and ultimately conservatives winning the hearts and minds of Americans. And we can't trade one dictatorship for another. We can't trade a woke dictatorship for an authoritarian conservative dictatorship. Like, individual freedom and liberty means individual freedom and liberty. It means small government. It means limited government. It means electing people to public office that realize that their handbook, their employee handbook, is the Constitution, or their state constitution if they're at the state level. That is their handbook. And if they will abide by that and stay in that box, and if the people will hold them accountable to stay in that box, then I think we can turn it around.
Amen. 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 Well, that's going to be everything for this first podcast. And thank you, Christopher.
Absolutely.
So just probably we're going to be recording once a week about these topics, conservatism here.
Yeah.
And double antidote.
Yes.
Is that good? Double antidote?
I love it.
And how do you say double antidote?
Double antidote.
Oh, so I'm saying good. You see, I'm not that bad. I was thinking like probably my pronunciation is bad, but double antidote, and for my Spanish speaker es doble antídoto contra las dictaduras del socialismo, señores. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. See ya.